So go back. So back. They
Yep.
took so basically you're saying they took hold of a unique political national circumstance, which was the pandemic.
Yep.
Their most early voting has ended at this point.
Or is
What was
going
the
to end in a few days.
what were the other things you were mentioning?
The early vote numbers in most swing states are less than half of what it was 4 years ago.
Mm, mm.
Like, I'll pull up New York Times right. Maine is looking good in early voting. Do you know why?
Why?
4 years ago, Democrats had a 26-point advantage in the early vote. Do you know what their advantage is right now?
What was that?
10.
Ooh, that's ugly.
So we've gained 16 points in the Maine early vote.
Powerful. Powerful.
And remember, we were down 26 points with mail-ins, and we only lost the state by 8 uh, 4 years ago.
Mm,
So if we're down only 10, we can definitely make that up on election day. So that's what I mean. I'm not trying to get too hopeful, but I do think Maine at large, the at large votes for Maine are going to be closer than most people expect.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I look at these early voting numbers right now for the Dems. It's abysmal for them.
Mhm. Well, that's where they derive most of their strength from too, is from their early voting. Like, I think it's been almost a decade since they've actually come out strong in person. And I don't think that they're the way that Democratic leaders and Democratic operatives and the general structure and system has been reacting. I don't think they're going to show up hardcore in person on election day to outmatch us.
They will. 65% of Democrat voters say they're voting early. By
Mm,
the end of next week, 65% of Harris's votes will already be cast. That's how Jeremiah got his estimates. Like Jeremiah says, Harris is on track to get only 68 million votes, while Trump is on track to manage to match or slightly exceed his 2020 total.
mm.
So
So
imagine
we
if
are in a
Trump
very
gets
powerful
75
position.
million votes. Yeah, that's a 4 point advantage in the popular vote.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, if Trump wins the popular vote by 4 points, that's a landslide in the Electoral College because Trump can still get 300 electoral votes even if Harris wins the popular vote. Trump got 306 electoral votes when Hillary Clinton won the national vote by 2 points.
mhm.
So imagine what the map would look like if Trump won the popular vote.
Oh man, it would be a blowout.
I mean,
Can you
I'm not trying to be too optimistic, but I do think the walls are closing in on her, and I think there's not. She's the most deserving person for this to happen to.
I completely agree. I don't I like I'm not trying to get too optimistic either, but I really see the same thing going on here. Um
I
I
mean,
don't
Maine.
see
I
a
mean,
way she
we're
can
only
win. I don't think that she's an appealing candidate. I mean, basically what all she has to count on are Americans actually totally have mush for brains, or there are enough illegals who will be voting in this election to carry her in key states. Like, I don't see a way that she appeals
I
to everyone.
I
She's
don't
down
see
with
it.
every
Most
demographic group that like she's doing worse than Hillary was. This is going to be a blowout, or it should be.
Mhm. It should be. I mean, my one of my mom's friends is so disconnected from reality. He's
Mhm.
like this super liberal doctor, and she thinks that there's going to be a blue wave.
Oh.
And my mom called me up and asked me, "Do you think she's correct?" And I said, "Mom, I'm looking at the early vote count right now. They're nowhere near where they were in 2020. And even if you look at the percentage of early votes cast, it's more red than it was 4 years ago. I don't see how this translates into a blue wave. Like the data just doesn't support it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yo, how's it going? How's it going?
What's up,
Good. How
Luke?
are you doing?
Shit.
Now it should be connected. Let's go.
We're talking about how Kamala's about to get curb stomped.
I know, man. I really want her to get fucking dude. I want to see that shit so bad. Not
It might
literally,
happen.
man, politically. I mean politically. I don't want to see anyone get that happen. Yeah,
In Minecraft, of course.
in Minecraft.
It might happen because like these early vote numbers are abysmal for Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're about to get slapped around.
I have to invite someone because I was in a VC with them and then they just left. So
Was this Village Polling or whatever his name was? I think he left this chat.
that was me. Yeah.
Oh, oopsie,
I
oopsie.
don't believe it. That's you.
Yeah, small village polling. I'm a big fan of small village polling. So we got a new member.
I don't think their samples are accurate.
Small Village Polling samples.
Yeah, small village polling.
Small
I'll
village. I
post.
think it was also big village polling. Let me look.
No, big village is a real pollster, and small village is like a fake one. I'll
It's
link
like the
you guys
meme
the
version of
account.
Big Village.
Yeah, it is. But like, just look at just browse through some of the numbers.
One of them had Harris up by 6, and their sample was like D+8. I'm like, this is bullshit. There's no way the electorate's D+8.
Yeah, that was big village. I don't do crosstabs for small village because officially they're behind a paywall.
All right, sorry for confusing the two.
Yeah, so new small village poll of Virginia president. Kamala Harris 53.65, Donald Trump 39.84. You know, D plus 15. Then we got.
See that. I don't see that happening at all.
I just sent the account. Okay, I'll give you also its this is its like final state polls right here, so you can look at this. So these are the final polls we did of the battleground states. So Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan.
Now, how did you poll?
That's the thing. It's a joke. It's a parody. I didn't actually poll. That's the point.
Oh, gotcha. Because I know there was one account called Big Penguin Polling in 2022.
Oh, they faked it too, but they pretended to be real.
Well, they tried to do it online, but they oversampled Republicans.
Well, because no one was answering their polls except like Republicans.
And they were like embarrassed after the election and just completely quit.
Yeah, but NATO, this guy, his name is NATO. He's a big fan of NATO. His name was Mr. NATO on Twitter for a while. So yeah, introduce yourself to the Discord, dude.
That was the guy that dated Trinity.
Oh, NATO, it seems like they already know about you, dude.
Apparently. Yeah, I denounced that act. It was a sinful act when I was not religious, so.
Oh shit, you're Mr. NATO? Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I know.
He is.
Yeah.
That was like one thing I remember. I mean, like.
Yeah, Jersey Mike. Jersey Mike, you're meeting a election Twitter celebrity right now. How does that make you feel, dude?
I don't consider myself a celebrity, and I really hope I'm not one.
You are an election tour. Dude, people make fun of you still for the transgender. I've seen people talk about that shit still.
I mean, at least you're not like Galen Metzger who got accused.
No, didn't they cheat on you by jacking off in a car? Nada?
Oh, you were asking me? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did it. It was a one-week thing. It was a bad decision on my part. Yeah, but they later turned out to be a pedophile. So.
Okay,
Yeah, they got deleted from Twitter. I saw that.
We went from election Twitter to what is this?
They're a like the person I dated. We found out later was a pedophile.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Dude, you
So
didn't date them. I'm gonna be honest though, dude. You didn't really date them. You just talked to them over Twitter.
I did. I look. I don't consider it dating, but like if I don't say it, then people get more emotional about the topic. So I say it was a sin that I regret deeply, and that was a bad move on my end.
MTF or FTM?
They were a boy. Well, they
Okay.
are
Male
a
to
boy.
female.
Male.
R.I.P.
Yep.
I mean, at least you're over it now. We can all live and learn.
Here was the funny thing. Nana
We
at
all,
the time was
we
anti-gay.
all have our
He was-
crosses we have to carry. We all have our
At the
crosses.
time, he was anti-gay, but pro-trans.
I was Iran. I was just Iran.
Also, we
Okay.
did some handing out of signs for a local state assembly candidate today. That's me. I'm the guy on the far right, up at the top. That's me.
I wish you were like that politically.
No, I'm not at the far right. No, but I'm the guy who's on top of the truck at the far right. So
Talking about the guy that's like holding the Trump sign on the other end of you.
oh, that's my boss, dude. That's Hilario.
Oh. Okay, makes sense that he's one.
He's Mexican. He's Mexican, dude.
Mm.
And
Man,
then
you're
Mike
leader.
Mueller. Mike Mueller is the guy who's running for state assembly. He's the one holding his sign on the right side.
Mm.
And then the Asian woman's his wife.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
And then I don't know who that obese black woman is in front. She just kind of showed up. I don't know
That's
who
what
she
I'm
was
wondering.
with.
Who is that pink whale down there?
I don't fucking know, dude. She just kind of showed up.
Are you sure are you sure she's not turned around and thinks she's campaigning for Harris? Like, what's going on here with this?
Yeah, I didn't know. I was kind of wondering. I was like, dude, you sure you got the right political party? You know?
Wait, I was gonna say, what state is this? Mike Mueller? You're like Wisconsin, you said?
Yeah, Wisconsin. We've literally got the Wisconsin flag on the truck, dude. Like you can clearly.
Oh, there
It
it
says
is.
Wis-
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it now. Well, I would say there are sometimes there'll be like a red state woman that just looks like a lesbian. You know, they look non-bi. They're not. They're
You know what's the
heterosexual,
funniest shit though? When
but
we were
they're
handing
butt
out
ugly.
signs today, we were by this Spirit Halloween, and this lesbian came up to us, and she said she's voting for Trump this year because she doesn't like transgenders to have sex with.
The turf
The
strike
tent
back.
is this big, dude. The tent is this big, dude. We have become England. We have become England.
I mean, if I were a lesbian, I'd probably be pissed too.
Like,
Yeah.
I was the most.
Nobody gave a shit. That's the funny thing too. They think people give a shit. Like no one does.
Well, no, that looked like a pro-Trump ad. Is my thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just driving by that, I would have assumed it was like in favor of Trump and he was opposing people getting replaced legally. You know, I wouldn't have. It's not even clear. It's so terminally online.
And most people aren't going to stop their car to look at the billboard either and analyze it.
Also,
Yeah.
that morbidly obese guy on the far left is from Missouri. That guy's from Missouri.
Take a look.
He just came up, dude. He literally just came up to knock doors. He had he never met any of us before. He was just like, "Oh, I'm up here because it's a swing state, and I heard that I saw somewhere on a Facebook post you guys made it." So I knew this guy. He just kind of showed up.
What a
Because we
patriot.
all met. Because this was all at Mike Mueller's house, actually. We all went down to Mike Mueller's house. He lives about 15 minutes from me, so I drove down, and everyone else came down. So that's where his picture was taken. And then that guy just showed up, and we're like, "Who are you?" And he was like, I heard this was a swing state, so I got to come down here, and we got to get Donald Trump elected. Like, that's how he sounded. I heard this is a swing state.
Real patriots show up. Real patriots.
I like to imagine this guy's like so out of the blue. He just like is bored one day and he's just like, what states are swing states? And it's like, oh, Wisconsin, that's the closest swing state to me. And they just decided to drive up.
Is that even? Where do you say this guy was from again?
Missouri. I
Missouri.
think
Is
it
that
is the
is that is
closest.
Wisconsin? Okay, hold on, hold on. Is the
I think it
Wisconsin
is,
even the
yeah.
closest? It is.
Yeah, like the close, yeah. Yeah, looking at it, it is.
Okay, fair, fair.
Depending on the part, Georgia might be closer, but it looks like mostly Wisconsin is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
he
if
could have
you're,
also gone to
I mean,
Michigan, right?
Yeah, well,
Missouri is
Wisconsin's
one of those
closer than
states where
Michigan,
like
so it makes
Yeah.
part
sense.
of it, part of Missouri is considered Midwest, another part of it's considered South. So it really depends on what part of Missouri.
Either way, we have a true patriot right here.
Yeah, he drove all the way up.
A real G.
Real G, but the whale, I don't know what the whale was doing in there too either.
I don't
Also,
know.
the guy on the left side of the Mike Mueller sign, he's a Teamster. He's a member of the Teamsters Union. That guy. So he was actually wearing his Teamster shirt to this
Did you
thing.
ask him? Did you ask him how other Teamsters are feeling right now? What's the vibe?
Oh no, he said all the Teamsters are voting Republican, like in Wisconsin, and in like his thing, dude. Because here's what happened. So when the national Teamsters declined to endorse anyone, the local union in Milwaukee endorsed Harris. He said they had to take down their entire Facebook because like all the members were just fucking like going berserk about them endorsing Harris. Like, what if we all voted in the national poll not to endorse her? We all voted to endorse Trump. You guys didn't endorse anyone, and then you local idiots decide we're going to endorse against who we wanted. You know, so they were pissed. So they had to take down their entire Facebook, dude. It's that. So yeah, most of the Teamsters are with Trump.
I
I'm
mean,
not surprised.
that's obvious. The thing is, if you look at their straw poll in like every key state, the Teamsters voted to endorse Trump, but the full union isn't doing so because they don't want to.
It seemed like the president wanted to. The president of the union wanted to. The membership wanted to. It's just the rest of the apparatus didn't. That's how it seemed like, from what I was looking at.
What do you think of the Washington Post not making an endorsement this year?
I think Jeff Bezos. We know who Bezos is voting for. He's a Trump guy now. I trust.
Well, he might not be a Trump guy, but he might smell that there's blood in the water and doesn't want to alienate Trump if Trump wins. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't really think Bezos is super progressive though. I think he's kind of just like he kind of just is progressive because he has to be. But I think in reality he's not like Bill Gates because Bill Gates is a liberal. You know, I don't really think Bezos is. I think Bezos is kind of just wants to do his own thing and he kind of switches between who he wants to support.
I mean, I think he's in favor of global capital just because it benefits him. I don't know if, like, socially he's actually a liberal in the same way Bill Gates is. You know, Bill dimmed the sun Gates. I don't think Bezos is like a true Kool-Aid drinking believer, but I think he does want, like, you know, cheaper labor costs or whatever.
I still think that's funny. And then the fucking owner like resigned. You know about that too?
What happened with that?
No, the owner, the like director of Washington Post resigned after Bezos didn't let him endorse Harris.
That's hilarious. My aunt, who's like a turbo liberal, actually said she was canceling her subscription to WAPO.
But that was funny. I saw like this person the other day, and they were just like, "Why are all these libs canceling their subscriptions to WAPO?" Because like, dude, I saw this shit like on Twitter. Like when I opened it up, there was like hordes of liberals. I just see like, I just canceled my WAPO subscription. And it's like, damn, like I get they didn't endorse, but you know they're still like making favorable commentary to Harris. It's not like they're like a right wing paper. They're just not officially endorsing her. You know.
That's how
Well,
frothing at the mouth they are. They couldn't accept anything less than a full throated endorsement. Well, I guess also WAPO has the history of having endorsed candidates for the past 44 years or whatever. So it is kind of like an actual change in behavior to not endorse a candidate. But so I mean, I don't agree with it, but like still, I guess a non-endorsement is in a sense a tacit endorsement of the other side, or at least
Well, no, because all their commentary is still super pro Harris. You got to
yeah,
remember.
that's true. That's true. That's fair. But I guess it's he as Mikey was saying, he probably smells blood in the water, and he just doesn't want to be fully associated with a doomed campaign. I think they can sense the way America's moving.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to add in, like, I was trolling Alan Lichtman today on Twitter.
More like Ellen Leichman,
This is the guy who claims he can predict every presidential election
What a fraud.
with his 13 keys. But, like,
13 keys, dude.
Red, you can see why I called him a fraud because half of the elections he claimed to predict were pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And then, here's the full breakdown. He claims to have predicted Ronald Reagan in 1982. He didn't document that. By the end of 1984, everybody would have known Reagan was going to win. By
hmm
the end of 1988, everybody would have known Bush was going to win. In
hmm
1992, he changed the definition of his short term economy key from actual economic data to voter perception to call the election for Clinton because the polling wasn't matching his keys if he applied them properly.
hmm
1996, fucking obvious. Bob Dole had no energy. That guy was not going to win, and Clinton was up by 20 points the day before the election.
Also, how would you guys be feeling if this is how the election looked at like 1 a.m?
What's the picture?
Oh, it's right in
It's
general.
in general.
In general. All right, let me give it a look. Sorry.
I'd be feeling like I have a 13-inch schlong.
That would
I
be.
think non-zero chance because Pennsylvania and Georgia count their ballots pretty quick now. So I think
Yeah.
we'll know Pennsylvania and Georgia by the next morning for sure. Like that's something
I still think Trump could jack a state that nobody expects him to jack, if that makes sense.
I think it could be New Hampshire. New Hampshire.
I can't see that going red.
Well, Red, don't you agree?
I'm just saying it could be.
Don't you agree that Maine's more likely than New Hampshire, Red?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Like, Trump is actually doing decently well in New Hampshire in the polls. Like, in Emerson the other day, he's only down 3.
Yeah, I agree. But my point was on Twitter: if Harris is collapsing in New Hampshire, she's definitely collapsing in neighboring Maine as well.
I wish they did polls. Here's the thing: Maine is impossible to poll. It's like Alaska because, like, the people. It's just New Hampshire, on the other hand, is actually a very easy state to poll because, like, it's so small. Maine, on the other hand, is just like the population density is so weird that's just like it's impossible. It's insane. So
It's challenging.
polls
Yeah.
always end up, yeah, because like 2022, the governor race was supposed to be like a dead heat. It ended up being a blue landslide. 2020 was supposed to be a blue wave in Maine. Ended up being Republican. Like actually pretty good for like Susan Collins.
Well, I live in Maine. I can explain.
Oh,
why
yeah,
2022 was a blue landslide. The governor candidate in Maine sold us out. He didn't
Yeah.
inspire Republicans to vote because he caved on immigration. He caved on abortion. He refused to talk about education. I mean, Red saw it too. The only reason
Yeah.
why Maine was a landslide in 2022 was because of a bad candidate. It wasn't because of the state's partisan tilt. It was because we had a
Oh no,
guy
I was
who.
just saying. Oh, I wasn't saying that. Like it was. I was just saying that like Maine is kind of all over the place with how they vote.
It can certainly
like,
appear
the
that way from
polls
the
didn't really
outside.
catch that, and the polls had that race pretty close, from what I remember.
The early polls did, and then by September, Mills was up. The Democrat was up 10 to 12 points by September, and that's what she won by come election day.
It can certainly appear that way from the outside,
polls,
but you have to understand that Maine GOP is
Yeah.
like uniquely incompetent, and we have a specific politics to our state that sort of makes this make more sense, if you know what I mean. But I heard also that Apparently, the Fifth Circuit judge has ruled that ballots must be received by election day, and state laws allowing them to arrive later are
Yeah, I
preempted by
heard
federal law.
that's nationally too. That's not just in one state. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
gonna.
nationally. So, with that in
They're not
mind, what's your analysis, guys?
they're not
I
getting
think
they're
we're
not
gonna
getting the
win.
leeway they had over COVID. They're just
And
not.
I think we're gonna know the result of every state pretty quick, except Arizona and Nevada.
Mm.
Nevada is just awful. Here's the thing: Trump's gonna win Nevada by a decent amount. It seems like if this early voting data holds up, but like, damn, they cannot count their votes. You know, like it's kind of sad that two of the states that are probably gonna have the biggest margin for Trump, Nevada and Arizona, are the ones that take forever to count. You know what I mean? So
I
we're
think
kind of just going to be
I
waiting
I,
around. And then
I think Trump's
Alaska,
gonna
we're not going to. And here's the thing: we're not going to have the Alaska results because they've got ranked choice voting now. So that's going to be fun. We have to wait for that to get tabulated. So we're not going to get those three electoral votes till like December. They won't be officially put down.
No,
So,
I think Trump will clear 50% by the time everything's counted. It's not going to go to a second round in Alaska. Maine might go to a
RFK is
second
still on the
round.
ballot though.
We have ranked choice. Well, RFK endorsed Trump, and that's pretty public. Maine
We'll see because
Maine has
Alaska
ranked
third
choice.
parties usually get a lot.
Yeah, Maine. Well, Maine's a similar scenario. We get Maine. I like Red can tell you this, but Maine's got a lot of third party voters in some elections too.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think Maine might go into ranked choice voting on the presidential level. I think Trump's going to do better than 2020 here, but if Jill Stein takes away a lot of votes from Kamala, Cornel West is also on the ballot in Maine, so he might take some votes away from her in Portland. So I would be very pissed if we have a I would be very pissed if we have a scenario where Trump wins outright on the first ballot, but then doesn't get Maine's electoral votes because of RCV. I'd be pissed if that happened.
The Senate race is going to go. Like King's going to win it, obviously. But
Angus
like, because
King's going
there's
to win easily.
no, because there's a Democrat Senate candidate. So I wonder if he's going to get under 50 in the first round. He'll win easily no matter what. But I wonder if he's going to go to a second
Angus
round.
King's going to get 50 in the first round. He got 50 in the first round 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, because
with
he's
the
like a
Democrat.
god to you guys, isn't he? In Maine, he's like a god.
No, I don't. I can't stand Angus King, but the Republican candidate is so bad. I'm not voting for U.S. Senate in Maine. I'm leaving that blank because the person the Republicans nominated was a lady who ran our state party into the ground and treated me, Fred, and some of our friends very unfairly when she was party chair.
Oh
I
yeah.
cannot
Oh yeah.
get over. I cannot get over that enough to vote for her on election day. It's not happening. I'm not
No, it's
voting for
just the
King. I'm
fact.
not voting for
It's just.
Democrat either.
It's
I'm
just
leaving
the
it blank.
fact that. It's just the fact though that King is just like a god. It seems in Maine. Like, is it
He is.
like why is he so? Why is he so popular? Is it just like?
It's just the prestige.
People think
We have a unique voter base here. It's like almost like you went back in time in a sense, just like demographically.
Is it
Like it,
just because of his mustache, dude? Like, if he
it
didn't have the
no.
mustache, would he be?
People think King is a middle of the road, nonpartisan guy when he's really a Democrat. But the issue is people think he's in the middle, and that's why they
I
vote for
see.
him.
Yeah.
yeah, but the mustache does persuade them that it calms them. He seems less
Yeah,
radical
I
because
guess.
of the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but also he runs ads specifically and like he runs the right ads to win old people over, and there are a lot of old people in this state. So like
Oh
just
yeah.
beyond the humor, like he does have a competent campaign team. He's already well established. So
And they're campaigning right now. He had a door knocker show up. He had a door knocker show up to my house this morning asking to talk to my brother.
mm,
He rides a Harley Davidson. Oh, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's colonization hits everywhere, dude.
it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with the mustache. You know.
Yeah. This is I'm taking another victory of Wisconsin cultural imperialism. You know, like
Hey, we were
Senator
here before
and
you.
using
What time were
the
you added to the
Senator.
union? You punk? What time were you added to the
Yeah,
union?
Look, since when have Wisconsin politicians don't ride around on Maine-made motorcycles, but he's riding around on a Wisconsin Harley Davidson motorcycle. That's all I'm saying. Wisconsin
And
cultural imperialism.
That's
the
just
biggest
pure
joke
cope.
about the biggest joke about Angus King was when he ran for governor in 1994. He ran during a red wave election. So when he first got elected as governor, he tailored his campaign message to sound like a Republican, and he narrowly won the governorship that year because Susan Collins' campaign for governor totally collapsed.
That's funny that they ran against each other and now both of them are senators. Aren't they like
Yeah, well,
friends too,
Collins,
or they get along pretty well? Like King didn't endorse against her in 2020.
no, he didn't. Not anymore. It's soured because Collins endorsed against him this year. Well, no, actually,
Oh,
King did endorse against her 4 years ago. King did
wait,
endorse
let me look.
Gideon.
2020. I'm gonna see.
I can find here. He supports Sarah Gideon.
Let me look.
Do you think that bitch is coming back
No,
red or no?
No,
no, it doesn't look like he did.
Sarah Gideon is gone from this state permanently. We will never have to deal with her again
She just
ever. She was
left. She
humiliated.
just left after she lost. She just like quit.
Susan
She wanted to
Collins,
shit- she wanted to shit-
despite all her faults, Susan Collins is a gorilla, and she literally ripped the skin off of Sarah Gideon's face, and then like literally lobotomized her, ate her brains, and then also ripped her rib cage open and ate her heart. Sarah Gideon is never coming back ever. She has been so thoroughly destroyed. She's gone back to Rhode Island or Connecticut or wherever she was from, and we will never hear from her again ever. Ever.
I
Think
only
Collins
asked
could win
because
again? Do you guys think Collins could win again in a Trump midterm?
Oh yeah, unless she were, I mean, really with Collins the thing is an age issue. So it's like Collins will continue to win and will continue to have immense support until she becomes too old. And she's almost there, to be fair. But like Collins can continue to
I
win.
don't think she's running. I don't think she's running for another term. I just don't see her health holding up for it.
I really,
I mean,
we really need her to run again. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like her because she's the best we can get. Like at least as of
here's the
now, and I
deal.
think.
Here's the ideal situation. She runs
Mhm.
again for re-election, and Republicans get smart and either nominate Travis Mills or Sean Moody for governor.
Yeah.
They win the governorship. She gets reelected, and then she resigns after getting reelected, and then Sean Moody can pick somebody to fill the seat for the next 5 years.
I really doubt that Republicans could flip Maine in a Trump midterm, though, in the governor's race. I think Collins could get
I
by
don't.
because
I disagree. Just because the Maine governorship is always flipped every 8 years.
Yeah.
I
Neither
see.
party has been able to hold. Neither
But
party has been able to hold the governorship for more than 2 terms in a row.
but this is assuming we can actually convince Moody to return.
It seems
The
kind of
other
too like
option,
Maine. It seems like
the other
Maine is kind of
option,
detached from
Ray, the
national
other option would
politics a
be
bit too.
Well,
the
yeah,
other option
that
would
was my
be.
point earlier. Demographically, it certainly is. But Jersey Mike, what were you gonna say?
Well, I said the other option would be to convince Travis Mills to run. He's the guy that builds homes for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
That guy could win a statewide election. He's conservative, but he also is very well liked because he's somebody who served in Iraq, had one of his arms blown off, and he spends the rest of his life building homes for disabled veterans. He's somebody who could win statewide. So I'm not saying Moody's going to be the candidate, but maybe either Moody or Travis Mills or somebody like them. I mean, like, I'm taking what I can get. I'm not expecting some unrealistic people online. I'm not expecting my based all right governor candidate to show up. I don't I've accepted that that's not going to be the case in the state of Maine. But I do
Mm-hmm.
accept that we can get somebody who's better than Collins in the governorship and at least hold the governorship for 4 years, and then we'll have Collins retire and then fill the seat for the rest of her term. That would be the smart strategic moves for Republicans to make here. And I do think Moody could win statewide just because he's from Gorham, and I think after like 12 years of dealing with Trump, I don't think the headwinds are going to be that bad in a second Trump midterm. I think a second Trump midterm might be like a Democrat version of 2022
Yeah, I don't think.
where they narrowly win the House, but it's not going to
Mhm.
be a blue wave.
I actually expect, as of right now, I think Republicans might have one net gain in the Senate in 2026. I think that it's probably the Senate map's probably going to stay the exact same, except I think Kemp will win in Georgia. So Republicans are net gain one. I could then see Roy Cooper run in North Carolina, and then it'd be a net gain of 0, and then the other side would flip. But I really think Kemp's going to run, and he's going to win Georgia. I don't see why he wouldn't.
Yeah, I see that happening too, but I don't even think Roy Cooper's a shoo-in because historically governors who have tried to go from governorship to Senate haven't really worked out. I mean, there's been multiple cases of both
Well,
Democrats
with Kemp,
and Republicans who've tried that and it hasn't worked.
I think too, though, that like John Ossoff is just not that good of an incumbent. You know, he kind of won off a fluke because like he really
I
should
mean,
have
if
lost that. Like Purdue got
I mean, what's it called?
49.7%.
Purdue was at 49.8 and it was only a runoff because he missed the 50% mark by 0.2%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think, yeah, I don't see 2026 being a blue wave. I think it'll be a more Democrat environment, but I think it'll be like the Dems version of 2022, where they think they're going to win big and then they end up narrowly winning the House and not winning the Senate, and possibly losing some governorships as well. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to hold Michigan. I think after 8 years of Gretchen Whitmer, unless they nominate an inspiring candidate, I think Michigan will be competitive. I think Wisconsin will be competitive. I think Josh Shapiro will definitely win re-election in Pennsylvania because he's marketed himself as too much of a moderate to be alienate people. I think if Republicans are smart in Maine, that can be a competitive governor race. I think Illinois, I'd have it at lean Dem, but who knows if
You
if
think
it's an open.
Republicans could win Illinois?
I mean, in a midterm, they've done well in Illinois in the past before 2018.
In a Trump midterm, though?
I don't know. I mean, it's an open seat. That's why I'm saying it's likely D right now, but then again, it's an open seat. You never know.
Yeah.
It's an open seat. That's all I'm saying. Katie Hobbs, I think, could lose in 2026. If we nominate a good candidate in Arizona, I think she could go. I think we could beat her. Kansas is definitely a pickup.
Oh yeah, that's an auto flip. I think we'll probably get Wisconsin because I don't think Evers is going to run for re-election, and I think if he does, I think he's getting too old too. And we're thinking. I talked to my boss because I was actually wondering because he runs the county party. He's got a bit more insight. I was asking him who he thinks might, because he doesn't really know. He's got about the best idea as me, but I just kind of wanted to get his opinion on who he thinks might run. He thinks that Tom Tiffany is probably going to be the most likely one. I think he could win the governorship in Wisconsin.
I mean, another race to watch would be New Mexico, just because that's going to be an open seat in Hispanic. We'll see how Hispanics vote in November.
I agree.
But that's another.
We'll have to see if that internal ends up coming true. That internal, remember, it had like
Well,
that was
Luke,
like
Luke,
supposedly
how do you
only
think
D
that?
plus 3.
Luke? How do you think that? What do you think of the Harris campaign's game towards Hispanics? I've seen basically nothing so far. It seems like it's been abysmal. There's been like no outreach that I can tell. What do you think of that?
It's interesting. I know that there was this thing on her website where it was like she has an entire portion of her website just saying my economic plan will help black men. My plan for this will help black men. Like it seems like I wonder what group she's having trouble with, you know, just looking at her website because everything's just black men. This plan will help black men.
Or you had Obama come out and literally try and he's like, you motherfuckers better vote for Harris because you guys better vote for Harris. That was literally that Harris is performing worse with black men than Clinton was. And you know what sounds crazy?
Yeah.
I think Hillary Clinton's fake accent is more authentic than Harris's is.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
she's from Southern Illinois originally, so it's sort of believable.
Yeah, I know. It's Clinton is more legitimate. I would believe it if she were actually started talking that way. You know, even though I know it's fake, it's more real than whatever is coming out of Harris's mouth. But anyway, I mean I think also
Red Eagle had the best reaction to the Obama. So what happened was Obama gave the speech. He's like, we have a candidate who looks like you, who grew up like you, and then Red Eagle says, yeah,
what about our order?
most black men have a mother who have an Indian mother who was raised in a middle class suburb. This has some big get back on the plantation N-word energy.
You can make it for me.
You said you didn't want those, and I don't know if I'll.
I died
the dogs,
laughing
I'll
when I
have less
saw
of a
that
chance
tweet.
talking
Fine, I'll do that.
It's
But
interesting.
I would be
definitely.
fine if you made
That's
some
the big
dumplings.
get back on the plantation.
They're not fried, and I'm not sure if you can fry them.
Well, I mean, like Obama's speech was
They're
just so
supposed to be
bad.
steamed.
I don't
However you
think
make
he
them, I don't even
convinced
know.
any black
Huh?
voter, any black men to go back
How are
to
you
her
making
side
them?
with that speech.
Huh?
How are you making
Mhm.
them?
It was like scolding
They were
them. You
supposed
should
to be
vote. You should
steamed.
vote.
You can put them in the microwave.
Like he was scolding the shit out of them. I don't think they're gonna take kindly to that.
You wanna go
Yeah.
off and just hang out with me.
Yeah, it was Obama's whole spiel was incredibly unpersuasive. And you can tell just by the nature of the Harris campaign how terrified they. She's down with every single minority group. Like I don't think this is going to happen for another couple of decades, but or maybe one or two at least, but politics will be incredibly polarized on the basis of sex. So all men everywhere will be outside of the Progressive
My order's already on
Coalition.
its way.
They're going to have to double down. And
I'm not sure how much I don't think the gender gap's ever going to get that bad.
I think it will. I mean, I don't know that Republicans will ever be able to crack, say, 40% with the black male vote because there are a lot of black men out there who are raised by their mothers who are complete simps. But I really think it will be intensely
Go
ahead.
Sorry, I saw that one lady got pissed at your tweet when you said that most black men are whipped by their mothers.
Yeah, literally, there, it's endemic, and
Can you mute yourself?
I think this is only going to increase in the next couple of decades, and I think it'll be especially because Luke, I sort of understand where you're coming from, but I think it will be especially pronounced among white people first, but then other ethnicities will also experience this, and it'll be increasingly hard to be a man and support the Democratic Party, and we can see this in the recent Harris
you're
campaign.
going to see. I think there's going to be more racial divides, if you want me to be honest, and gender divides. Like, I don't think you're going to see like white men and black men, being allied against, like I just don't see that. I think that it's going to.
Okay, it sounds like a bit of a radical prediction, but
I think a larger portion of black men are going to vote Republican.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, because I'm not a real believer that like the gender gap is gonna. I think it's kind of gonna stay around where it is right now, where it's like 55-45 for genders in their respect. I think it's gonna stay around there. I don't really see it trending any worse.
But
I think you're seeing it. If anything, it might be at its most polarized right now because we have a woman candidate. So I think that kind of polarizes it to a certain degree. And I'm just not sure it's going to be sustainable. I think that women still are going to vote majority liberal, like left-leaning. Men are going to vote majority right, conservative-leaning. But I just don't think it's going to be like this massive divide, like in the terms of like how it is in South Korea, where it's like 90-10 for both genders,
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
I think
I see that as
I
the
think
go
there
ahead.
is a massive amount of sexual failure among young men right now. If you
I
take a look,
agree. I agree.
and I'm not promoting people to be promiscuous. All I'm saying is the share of young men who have never interacted with a woman or never actually had relations with a woman has gone up from 15 to like 30% right now.
Yeah.
And I do think some of the shit that the red pill says is definitely correct, and I think it's going to polarize the sexes a lot more than people think it will.
Yeah, you have people like Michael Knowles and even I think Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk went on whatever podcast, like that Red Pill podcast. Like they understand that the future of the right is these disaffected young men. And I think we have these fissures in our society where young men's problems are ignored, they're not addressed, we're, pushed aside financially speaking. Like our goals are our second place. It's all catering to women and stuff. So I got to disagree here with you, Luke. I think these cleavages will only deepen in the coming decades. I don't know how long it
We'll
will
have to
take
wait and
necessarily,
see.
but
Because I'm thinking,
Are you gonna finish the call soon?
because of the like of immigration we're seeing, I think that is going to become the main divider of society in
that's
the
also true.
United States.
That's
I
also
really,
so.
and I think that's going to
30% of modern women in with 10 years or 15 years are going to be basically social lesbians where they do not want any relations with men, and based on how the state of modern women right now and how it's going, I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, especially because
Like we're gonna have something similar to the 4B movement in America. Unfortunately, it's on its way. So get your girlfriends or whatever now before it hits.
I completely agree because especially because the older generations will die off, and we're talking about a situation where we have millennials and even some later Gen X women, and then also older Zoomer women aging into the position that boomers occupy now. And these are profoundly dysfunctional and mentally ill people. So I think there will be
I
a
just
cat lady
here's
voting
the
bloc.
thing. I just don't think people understand how big the immigration issue is going to be and how societal changing that's going to be. And I
Yeah.
think that's just going to end up transcending everything else. That's the
I
way I see it.
I don't know with these Hispanics. I don't maybe Jersey Mike would have something to say, but with these Hispanics, a lot of them come here to make money, and if
No,
they're
here's
not
here's
making
the
money,
difference. Okay,
they
can I
won't
explain
care.
this? Can I explain this?
Go ahead.
Right now it's Hispanics.
Right.
But the thing is, in like 20 or so years, those Hispanic countries are going to see the same birth rate, and they're already starting to see it. Most of these countries, their birth rates barely above replacement levels.
Fair.
So
Fair.
eventually, when that happens in like a couple years, it's not going to be the like Mexicans or the like Central Americans coming. It's going to be mostly Africans and people from the Middle East.
Yeah,
That's what it's going to switch
but
to. It's going to be the same people who are coming into Europe.
well,
And that is
I
going to create much more divisions than is being done now. Because right now, yeah, it's actually pretty stable with the immigration we have. Because like
but
Hispanic immigrants, they assimilate pretty good. Like it's not nearly the same
but
degree
I would
as
say to that this also depends heavily,
yeah.
and we're not to count our eggs before they're hatched, but this also kind of depends on whether or not we have a Trump presidency. If we have a Trump presidency, I think this
Well,
will be a
even if we
defining
have a
feature.
Trump presidency, I don't think because here's the thing: this is a long-term thing. This isn't
Yeah.
just like
This will
so.
we'll be deporting millions of their voters potentially. Perhaps that's a bit optimistic, but
Well,
a lot of their voters
I
could be
haven't
gone.
reported.
No, but here's the thing:
I haven't.
Trump wins or
I haven't
Trump
reported
loses.
one thing.
Jersey Mike. What were you saying, Jersey Mike?
This is going back to the gender divide and why I don't think women are going to unite with men to prevent mass immigration. Because if you
I
take a
don't
look
think it's going
throughout
to be
the
unite. Well, no, I don't.
well
But I
throughout
think
my point is
I think that's
throughout
going to become the primary
history.
divider of society, not gender. I don't
Let's let
really see
Jersey
a
Mike get his thought
gender.
out. Let's let Jersey Mike get his thought out. What was he gonna
Okay.
say?
And like this is just from historical analysts. If you take a look at what's happened throughout history, even like in ancient times, if you want to like boil this down to very simple things, when like different tribes or different empires would conquer each other in ancient times, the men would have a lot more to lose than the women. Worst thing that could happen to men is they're killed and their bloodline is completely extinguished from this earth. Worst case scenario that happens to women, they become sexually conquered and they just have new husbands. That's what happens. So in the same thing when it comes to immigration, a lot of these women, worst case that's going to happen to them is they'll just either be wind up with the newcomers, or they'll get they will be incorporated into whoever ends up taking the country over, while the men actually have to worry about their bloodline completely dying off the face of the earth if something doesn't change.
I
And
agree. The stakes are
the
higher
fact
for
that
us.
the stakes for men are a lot higher than they are for women.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
We'll have to see. I'm just
I mean,
not
it
too
might
sure how
sound
much I
extreme, but
believe
that's
this gender gap thing.
it might sound extreme, but that's just what I've observed throughout different historical patterns. What do you think, Red?
Yeah, I mean, I think at least I can see where Luke is coming from, because this is basically unprecedented, and the situation
Because
South
yeah, here's
Korea
the
is
thing:
in
the
now
amount of immigration we're seeing now is
just to
unprecedented
yeah,
in
but the
history.
situation South Korea is in now is like just this franken ridiculous backward.
Well,
We
you want
literally
to
have
know?
incel candidates
Here's
over
the
there.
reason.
I can see
Because you want
how
to
you
know
would think that
something?
that's sort of
Here's Can I
unique,
tell you
but
this? You want to know
what's
why South Korea is unique? South
why?
Korea is unique because up until very recently, because of that, they had virtually no immigration. Immigration was heavily restricted, if not banned, to South Korea. That is the main reason they're seeing that divide, because there was no like ethnic divide. Because Korea, like, there's not a bunch of different ethnic groups. They're Korean. Like, it's not like China, where there's a bunch of different ethnic groups. So when there was no other really thing that divided society, it eventually turned into a gender divide. That's
But
the main difference with South Korea,
but
because
here's the
it's like
thing,
a homogenous culture. So
materially
eventually,
speaking though,
Who do you want to speak?
do I mean do Hispanics not use Tinder? And how are they like? I think a lot of them are either interested in either
well,
making their
again,
money
dude,
here and then
like I
returning. But
said, I'm not really, again, dude, like I said, I'm not really talking about the like Hispanic immigration necessarily. I'm talking more about the next
hypothetical
sort
future
of wave
African
of
immigration.
immigrants. What? Yeah, that's what I'm
Hypothetical
talking
future
about, because that
African.
is what's gonna. Because like I said, dude, like that is a completely different ball game than Hispanic. Because like Hispanic immigration, you can that's fine in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't change. Like they assimilate decently well. Like they're Christian. They have the same basic morality that like we have in the West. I mean they're Western. Like most of them are half Spanish. Like a lot of them are like Spanish ethnically. So these aren't like foreign lands. Like they come from the same like fundamental culture that we come from, just some degrees removed. The difference is that they're not
Half
going to be the
European.
blunt.
Half of
Yeah,
the
they're not
half of the
exactly.
culture
Yeah,
is European.
What was
yeah,
that?
because that's the thing. The blunt, but here's the thing that is not that is this wave, but the next wave of immigration is not going to be from Central America. It's not going to even be from South America. It's going to be from Africa and the Middle East. That's where it's going to be from.
Well,
And
I'm
those
saying
ones
this again
are going to be
depends
a lot.
heavily on who wins this particular election. That's what I'm saying. So
We'll
assuming a
have to
Trump
wait and see,
victory,
because I don't really think Trump is going to change this like massively, because eventually a Democrat's going to win again. And when that Democrat wins, they're going to realize that these immigration rates from Central America aren't necessarily helping with the birth. And they're going to start, and then you're going to see Africa get immigrants sent here. And then you're going to see more and
yeah.
more of
But I
them.
mean, not to be
And
too
then,
optimistic, but we may see like millions of people perhaps deport. What are your thoughts on this, Jersey Mike? We may see
well,
perhaps
look,
millions of people
I
deported.
here's the thing. The Hispanics getting deported is one thing, but like I said, I'm not necessarily talking about Hispanics. Because here's the thing: the way I see it, in like 50 years, Hispanics will basically be seen as white again. If the blunt of this immigration happens, I think you're going to see them identify much more as white compared to like the next wave of
a lot of
immigration
them
you're
are
going to
already
see.
doing that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine how it would be if then 20% of the country becomes like ethnically African. From like not African American, but like from Africa. You know what I mean?
I sort of somewhat agree with Red, because I do think like if Trump gets in, it would be sort of like a whatchamacallit, a validation of people who are against mass immigration. And I think, at least for the short term, the Democrats would be forced to slowly move somewhat to the right. They might fake it. I think they'll fake it,
Yeah.
but
Well,
the,
no,
uh,
not not
the
only would
national
they have
Wait,
to.
environment will not be
let
open
Jersey Mike
to
finish his
the
thought. Let
idea.
Jersey Mike finish his
Yeah.
thought.
The
Mhm.
national environment will not be open to mass immigration from Africa if Trump wins because, I mean, look at what's happened from 2016 to now. 8 years ago, most people supported a path to citizenship for illegals. Now, most people think they should be deported. That's a big shift in public opinion. If Trump,
No, because
if
here's the
Trump
thing.
was,
You're
if
already
Trump
starting
was
to
to
see the
win,
Dems move to the right,
what?
at least rhetorically. You've seen them move to the right. In 2020, everyone on that debate stage said that illegals would get free healthcare. Now, they're all pretending to be tough on the border, is all I'm saying. So, like, them shifting right has already happened, at least rhetorically. Like, they know that
I mean,
the country has moved to the right.
the point I'm trying to make is if Trump wins, I don't think they're going to be like, even if a Democrat, I think in 2028, if Trump was to win, the Democrats would try to put someone up who's more moderate than even Kamala is.
They'd be
They're not
forced
going
to,
to
yeah.
go like
No, they're going to put
the
up
progressive
Shapiro.
wing of the party would be dead. Like, yeah, the thing is, like, I don't think a one term of a Democrat after Trump, if they were to win in 2028, would be able to achieve all their immigration goals, because if they were to do that, public opinion were to shift heavily against them and they wouldn't get two terms. That's what I'm saying.
We'll
If
have to
Trump
wait and
was to
see.
win, if Trump was to win, it would result in the public opinion shifting further to the right on this issue than it already is.
Well, anyways, I think I'm not sure what is the more like preferable outcome, because like I don't necessarily want a big racial divide, but I don't want a big gender divide either. So I think we need something to, because Trump would fix the immigration issue, but we need someone to kind of like fix the gender divide issue before it really like becomes like
That's what I'm
impossible to
saying
fix,
though,
you know?
because I think this is why I think the gender divide is deeper, because we need to the only way the gender divide can be fixed is through creating a generation of young men who have the skills to properly, they know how to they have the proper socialization, they're independent, they have their own apartment or house, their own job, their own means of transportation. Like, creating a generation of strong men is harder than simply deporting illegals. That's why I'm
Yeah,
saying the crisis with gender is deeper than the crisis with just race, because every single
and
race of person is experiencing this. And
and I
go ahead, Jersey Mike.
I was about to say I completely agree with you, and I think even like when it comes to creating a generation of strong men, you've talked about this before, Red. We need we need better, regardless of what denomination of Christian you are. We need better pastors and we need better priests. We need both. We need better role models in our churches that are going to teach young men how to be men. Because right now they're not doing it.
Exactly.
That's not the problem. The
Like,
problem
Yeah.
is not enough
Yeah.
men go to church.
Well, that's because none of the men go to church. Sorry, that's my
well,
girlfriend.
men aren't
Not
going to
enough men
church
go to church
because a
because
lot of
church is
these
Wait,
churches
useless.
are
who's on
worshiping
the
single
wait,
moms
who's on
and
the
telling them they
phone?
should marry former whores.
Who's on the phone?
That was my girlfriend right now. She just butted in.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
The problem is, you go to a modern day church, and this is a problem
Full of old
across
people.
denominations. It's a problem across denominations, like what they're doing with Nala, what they're doing with the former OnlyFans girls who claim to repent. I mean, they're trying to market these women as just as acceptable wives for men. In reality, that's not the case, and a lot of men get turned off by that, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
I really don't trust any of those people.
yeah, I think the modern church structure is just totally dead. I mean, in a sort of like institutional sense, I think the Christian religion is dead. Um, I mean, I can, I gotta,
I have to mute for a sec, but I'll be listening.
Yeah, as I say, I actually have to go temporarily. I'll be on later, but it was wonderful talking with you guys. Really appreciate this conversation with
Yeah,
you,
I'll call
Hooch.
back in later. I'll call
Yeah,
back in later when you guys are.
yeah,
How long do
I'll
you think
try.
you'll be?
probably maybe
Because
two and a
I'll.
half hours or so at most.
Sounds good. I'll be back on then. Yeah.
Okay, sounds
Alright.
good. I
If
don't know
I
about
can,
Jersey
I
Mike
will
because
be.
he's got. I think. How you feeling, Jersey Mike?
I mean, we'll see how I feel. I might end up passing out. We'll see or not. I have stuff
No,
to do
I'll
tomorrow.
definitely talk in like 2 hours or so when you're back on.
Anyway, that's it for this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Bit of a long one if you stayed this far. And Red Channels and friends will catch you in the next one.